In this video, we will be discussing Docker architecture or Docker components. So, before we discuss the Docker architecture or Docker components, so what does it mean by Docker and why we use the Docker and where we use the Docker? So we are not going to in detail. So we'll be discussing in detail in coming videos. But I'm just giving a crisp of the Docker. What is it? Where we use it and when we use it and what is the architecture. We can discuss it today. So Docker is a container. So one of the most popular container. There are other containers also in the market like Rocket. So but Docker is a very pretty popular. So what does it mean by container first? So container. So what is container? Container, which is virtual container, which is a virtual machine without operating system. Container is nothing but virtual machine but without operating system. So what is the containerization? What is the containerization? So what is the containerization? So it is the process of packing of an application along with its dependencies. So what is the container? Container, which is a virtual machine uh, without OS, which does not have OS, we can say. Container, which is a virtual machine which does not have a OS. And what is a containerization? So containerization, it is the process of packing of an application along with its dependencies. This is called containerization. Okay, so why we use the Docker and why we use the Docker? So Docker is designed. Docker is designed. Docker is designed. Docker is designed to create, manage, and run the applications. Docker is designed to create, manage, and run the applications. But we have a other virtual machines and all. But so we'll discuss it how we can do that in the coming videos. But Docker is designed to create, manage, and run the applications. So this is the definition of the container, containerization, and Docker. So let's understand the Docker architecture or its components. So Docker architecture or Docker components. There are four Docker components we have. One is Docker client. One is a Docker client. Second one is a Docker host. Third one is a second one is a Docker host, and third one is a Docker daemon. Fourth one is a Docker registry. Fourth one is a Docker registry. Fourth one is a Docker registry. Docker client, Docker host, Docker daemon, and Docker registry. So what does it mean by Docker client? What does it mean by Docker client? So Docker clients is nothing but it is a place where we run the Docker commands. Docker client is nothing but where we run the Docker commands. Like we run the Docker commands like Docker pull, Docker push, Docker login, Docker build, Docker create volume. So where we run these kind of commands, those place we can call it as a Docker client. Docker client is nothing but place where we run the commands. Place where we run the commands, which is called Docker client. So what is Docker host? Docker host is nothing but system where we system where we install Docker. So Docker host is nothing but it is a system where we install Docker. And what does it mean by Docker daemon? Docker daemon, Docker daemon, which contains images, networks. Docker daemon contains images, networks, and applications. Applications. Docker daemon, which is a service which is responsible to run these images, network, and applications, etc. And Docker registry. Docker registry. Docker registry means like once we done once we will be push our images into the Docker registry. Like for Git we have a GitHub. Likewise for Docker we have a Docker Hub, which is a Docker registry where we keep all the images into the Docker registry itself. So these are the components of Docker, or we can call it as a Docker architecture. In the next video, so I'll be explaining how we can write the proper Docker file. Thanks for watching.